tell us how life has changed for women in Afghanistan. Give us just sort of a snapshot, if you will, since 2001, the strides that they've made and the strides they haven't.
Well, life for women in Afghanistan is much better than it was 10 years ago under the Taliban. Women and girls are going to school. There are more girls in school than there ever have been before in Afghanistan. On the other hand, something like 1,000 schools have been rocketed or burned. Hundreds of teachers and students have been killed. And still, more than half of all primary school-age girls are not in school.
Is that because they're too afraid? I was going to ask you about the female population in Afghanistan. Are many of them, do they feel that change is almost more frightening than the status quo for them? And so is progress being held back by Afghan women themselves in some ways? And you can understand it, by the way. I'm not being critical.
Well, there's no question that women in Afghanistan live under threat of violence all of the time, and people who commit gross acts of violence against women almost are never punished. So that threat is always there. That means if you as a parent are deciding, do I send my daughter to school, you have to consider, is she going to be kidnapped on the way?
Is she going to be killed as a result? Is acid going to be thrown in her face?
Exactly. Is a bomb going to be left under her teacher's chair, like a school that I visited in rural Afghanistan? You have to deal with the threat of violence and, most importantly, impunity for violence all the time.
If I were a mom, I might choose to not send my daughter to school if I thought if she were risking her life in the process.
But so many mothers have told me in Afghanistan that they want education for their children, and they are really putting their lives, in some cases, on the line to fight for that. And those are the women who need our support.